Master, are the only way that we should attain pure existence. I bow down to his lotus feet with great long reverence. May this great suffering cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Who only wishes to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic frame my knees. By him ignorance is destroyed. They make scripture sing his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and the Lord Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful to us, and put us to shame for the lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. In the shelter of the lotus feet.
So Simicenta Radha Madhava Jai Jai Sichitana. Okay, good. Hare Krishna. You're from where?
India.
India. Which place?
Delhi.
Delhi, okay.
So I'm visiting here. So
Okay, good.
today.
I'm also visiting. I stay in Vrindavan.
I know.
Okay,
Everyone knows it.
okay. You're going back tomorrow?
Tonight.
Tonight we're going back. To India?
Yes.
I'm going tomorrow. Okay, fine. Yeah. No, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
This is instead of the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Oh, you do like this?
Yeah, we usually chant one song and then...
Okay, so you chant one Gaur Bhajan?
I did try to...
Not necessarily.
Depends on the speaker.
Okay. Well, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya we can chant in the Mahamantra. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Deta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Detta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Detta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Detta Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivara Jagacaya Sota Satta Shishimachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivara Jagacaya Sota Satta Shishimachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Kudi Vaishnavrinda ki Sirup Sri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunathi Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sar Goswami Prabhu ki Prem se ko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopal Gopi Gopinath Mukunda Datta Dasa Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Sri Mathura Dham ki Sri Mayapura Dham ki Sri Jagannathpuri Dham ki Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki Ganga Yamuna Devi ki Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya ki Sri Sri Gonitai ki Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakasuran Militam Yenam Dasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yadabadagamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadutam Parjana Chaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tatta Ganjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaheva cha Paridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Jadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kolau Nastyeva Gatyaranyata Maduram Madurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. So we're reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 24th chapter, the explanation of the Atmaram verse, 61 explanation, 61. So, a famous verse which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first explained to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in 18 ways. So we can chant together. So it is text number 5. Atmaramascha munayo nigranta apyurukrame kurvantyai haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha apyurukrame kurvantyai haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno hari atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha apyurukrame kurvantyai haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi. Atmaramascha munayo nirgranta api urukrame kurvantyai haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi. Atmaramascha munayo nirgranta apyurukrame kurvantya haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi.
Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha apyurukrame kurvantya haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi.
Atmaramascha munayo
nirgranta apyurukrame kurvantya haitukim bhaktim itam bhuto guno harihi. Atmaramascha munayo nirgranta apyurukrame
kim bhaktim
Kurvati ahaitu kim bhaktim
Ittam bhuta guno harihi
Itam Buddha Guno Harihi.
Atmaramascha munayo
Atmaramascha munayo
Nirganta pirukame
Nirganta pirukame
Kurvanta itu kim bhaktim
Kurvanta itu kim bhaktim
Ittam bhuta guno harihi
Itam Buddha Guno
Harihi. Atma Rama. Persons who take pleasure in being transcendently situated in the service of the Lord.
Persons who take pleasure in being transcendently situated in the service of the Lord.
Cha, also. Munaya, great saintly persons who have completely rejected material aspirations. Fruitive activities and so forth. Nirgranta, without interest in any material desire. Api, certainly. Urukrame, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, whose activities are wonderful. Kurvanti, do. Ahaitu kim, causeless or without material desires. Bhaktim, devotional service. Itam bhuta, so wonderful as to attract the attention of the self-satisfied. Guna, who has transcendental qualities. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendently attractive features. So this chapter is an explanation of this famous verse, which is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so when he arrived in Jagannath Puri after taking sannyas, he was taken care of by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who in the past time was first a Mayavadi. When Mahaprabhu arrived in Puri, he was exhibiting uncommon transcendental symptoms, ecstatic symptoms. When he arrived, he went to take darshan of Jagannath, and of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Radha and Krishna, and he came to establish, to give the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, the Mahamantra. And he specifically came to give Braj Bhakti, and even there, Unat Ujjala Ras, especially also the loving sentiments between Krishna and the gopis, the conjugal mellow, Gopi Bhav. So when he went to see Jagannath, mostly he was seeing Krishna in Braj. Not only the temple, but most of the time he was seeing Krishna, he was calling out for Krishna, exhibiting the feelings of separation. So upon reaching Puri, when he entered the temple, he saw beautiful Jagannath. I remember Krishna in Braj, and he became unconscious due to ecstatic symptoms, and he fell to the ground. Many times there are persons who are just trying to show that they have love for God, and sometimes they cry Or sometimes what they do, they take some chili in their hands and then put on their eyes and then the tears are coming. So these are false symptoms. Sometimes they cry, just or fall to the ground also. Therefore, the watchmen in the Jagannath temple, they had seen many times they are called sahajas, taking it cheap, the ecstatic symptoms. And then they have to, of course, ask them to go out, because that is not proper in front of the Lord to show some cheap symptoms. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, appearing as a devotee, so he was genuinely, fully absorbed in Krishna, and due to ecstatic symptoms he fell down. And so he was not moving, and so the watchman thought it's just another imposter. I wanted to just tell him to get out of the temple. But then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there, who was very much respected. He was a great scholar, although giving the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam as, and not only this verse, even in the 5th canto, which we are discussing now also these days here in the temple, Rishabdev, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is speaking to his sons. How many sons he had? 100 sons. The eldest was Bharat Maharaj. And then there were 9, there were sannyasis, yogis, great devotees. They are known as Navayogendras. And later on there's a description how they speak to one great king. They instructed and they gave knowledge to a king who invited them to be enlivened. And one of them, Karabhajan Muni, he spoke the famous verse, Krishna vanam tisa Krishnam sangha pangastapasadam yagya sanketapaya yajante sumera saha, indicating that Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Gaurahari, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Deyam sarabhabishtadoham tirtaspadam sivirinchanatam saranyam brityatyaham paraptapotam vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. That is the next verse which he recited, offering respect to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahapurush. Mahapurushate Charanaravindam, offering obeisances to that great personality of Godhead. So by meditating upon him, then all actually abhishta desires are fulfilled. Of course, mostly as devotees we should try to have material desires, wanting to make advancement. But even if there may be some, we should have spiritual desires to make advancement and to become perfect. But even if there's some material desire, that sometimes may also be satisfied by the merciful Lord. And it is mentioned that even the great personalities like Lord Brahma and Shiva, they're meditating on Mahaprabhu, on his lotus feet, and by meditating on his lotus feet we can cross over the ocean of material existence. So it is mentioned that is Krishna himself, Krishna vanam tisa Krishnam, but his complexion is Krishna, is golden, is not blackish, and is accompanied by his associates, more just like weapons to destroy the ignorance, the darkness of this age of Kali. And those who are intelligent, they will take shelter of that personality. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his books, he takes the same verse, but the last line, Yajante Sumedasaha, is replacing by another line, Bhajami Kali Pavanaha, So I worship the deliverer of the dark age of Kali, of the persons who are surrendering to him. So all the great personalities, they accept Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Lord. At that time when Mahaprabhu was in Puri and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, so he saw him, he did not know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. But he saw that he exhibited ecstatic symptoms which are very uncommon. And so therefore he took him to his house. He told the watchman, don't worry, I take care. And the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was a great devotee, Gopinath Acharya. And he had told Sarvabhauma that he is actually the Supreme Lord. But he didn't believe him. And he was saying, what proof is there? And then he was quoting some verses also. But still he was not fully convinced. And then he told Mahaprabhu, and he came back to external consciousness. So three kinds of consciousness are there. Internal consciousness by the pure devotees also. Internal, external, and then also in between, madhya. Internal means they are completely absorbed, samadhi. Internally, samadhi, the consciousness is fully fixed, is equiposed but internally absorbed in Krishna, Krishna's pastimes. At this point, Mahaprabhu or the pure devotees, they are not aware of the external happenings of this world. And when their external consciousness, they see, oh, I'm a devotee of Krishna, and they're chanting the holy names, they're worshipping Krishna, or speaking about Krishna, but then they're feeling separation. And it is so wonderful. They also feel that although they have pure love for Krishna, but they feel, I'm very insignificant. I hardly have any love for Krishna. Even Mahaprabhu used to say that I don't even have a scent of love for Krishna. Gandha. But sometimes tears are coming, 1 or 2 tears, and then he was explaining, I'm just trying to make a show that I have devotion. But of course Mahaprabhu, his emotions were genuine. He's the Supreme Lord, but as a devotee, very wonderful. But mostly tears were coming like torrents of rains from his eyes. But always very humble, although he's the Supreme Lord, but he's most humble, as we can see here also in this conversation with Sanatana Goswami in this chapter. And even so also in Puri, when he was at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, then he was very humble, most humble. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him that you're a young sannyasi and you should learn more about Vedanta. And Mahaprabhu said, fine, okay. How old he was, Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas? 24, yeah, just 1 month before his 25th anniversary. So then Mahaprabhu just said, yes, if you desire. So even he had asked him or if you want, I can upgrade you. Because you took sannyas from sannyasi is not from the higher caste. So even the sannyasis or brahmanas, they are usually 4 kinds, even kshatriyas, 1st class, 2nd, 3rd or 4th. So Keshav Bharati, he was not a 1st class Mayavadi sannyasi. So and although Sarvabhauma, he was a 1st class brahmana, but he was not a sannyasi actually, he was a householder. Therefore actually it was not really proper, but he was just so confident of himself. But Mahaprabhu humbly replied, no, I'm okay, don't worry. Even though it's not 1st class, but yeah, I'm fine. And of course, even we know that Nityananda Prabhu, because he took sannyas from a Mayavadi, so they only have one stick, but usually the Vaishnavas, they have 3 sticks. So he broke his sannyas danda in 3 and threw in the river. So, and therefore Mahaprabhu came alone to Jagannath Puri. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him, so I will speak on the Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the Vedas, as in 4 parts. The first about Sambandha Gyan, second and third about Abhideya Gyan, and the 4th about Prayojan Gyan, so that one can gradually advance in spiritual life to perfection. So he was reading the verses, and Mahaprabhu, for a few days, Mahaprabhu was just listening. And he was giving some explanation also. And after, I think it was 9 days, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, well, did you not understand the subject matter? You're not asking questions. Usually intelligent person, he will have some questions after the lecture or after the lesson. Mahaprabhu answered to him that the sutras, the verses of Vedanta, they are very clear to me. But your explanations are very, very, very bewildering. They are not clear at all. And so, of course, his false pride of being a great scholar was smashed. And he was saying, well, so you can maybe say something yourself, what realization you have. And then he quoted that verse, which is discussed here also, Atma Ramascha Muneo, Nirgrantya Urukrame Kurvantya Haitukim Bhaktim Itam Buddho Guno Harihi. And he explained in 18 ways. So he just gave a simple explanation of that verse. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then understood that this person is not an ordinary person. And looks like my brother-in-law is right, is an incarnation of the Lord. But then, so that was his house, is not far from the Jagannath temple, famous place. Then Mahaprabhu showed to him that he is not different from Ramchandra Bhagavan and from Krishna. Sadbhuj darshan. He had darshan of the 6th arm form of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu himself is a sannyasi with a danda, with a stick, and a water pot, kamandal. Usually the sannyasis, when they are traveling, they have their danda and have a water pot, at least. And then 2 more arms were there of Ramchandra with 1 bow and arrow, and 2 arms of Krishna. What is he holding? The flute, yes. And then, of course, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya understood that he's the Supreme Lord, and he offered obeisances. And he became a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he wrote, of course, many verses also in glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's one, Ashtotara Nama Stotram, 108 names of Mahaprabhu he mentions. These are maybe 18 verses. And in there are 108 names of Mahaprabhu. So by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And some other verses are there also which are famous in glorification of Mahaprabhu. So after that we know Mahaprabhu, Sisigonitay Ki. He went to South India, and then also he came to Vrindavan, and he met his dear devotees, Rupa Goswami in Prayag and Sanat Goswami in Benares, also known as Varanasi or Kashi, different names are there. And he stayed for 2 months there and instructed Sanatana Goswami. And so there was also, of course, question and answer session, and one of them is in this chapter here. So because everyone had heard how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining this Atmaram verse to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So therefore you wanted to hear. And then Mahaprabhu actually after that he also told Sanatana Goswami to go to Vrindavan and write books in regards to devotional service, the essence of devotional service, and also to excavate the lost holy places of Braj. So one famous book is there which is known as Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is quite well known, which is in 20 chapters and explaining to the devotees how to act according to Varna Ashram. Chapters are there in regards to proper behavior of a Vaishnav Sadachar, and even how to perform the different purificatory rites, samskars, and how to worship the deities and install the deities and the temples and so on. And one other book which is famous, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Prabhupada mentions also. Anyone knows the book, Brihad Bhagavatamrita? And Prabhupada mentions that anyone who wants to know about Bhagavan, Bhakti and Bhakta must read this book. Also explaining about the essence, and the essence of course is in devotional life is to attain Braj Bhakti, the loving sentiments of the inhabitants of Braj. So following their footsteps, we should perform devotional service, and then we can attain perfection. So Sanatana Goswami asked him about this famous verse, and I believe the first 5 verses was discussed last time. You were here? Anyone was here last Monday?
We discussed the text number 1 till 21.
Last time,
Yes.
you discussed. And so now we should continue after that, or?
Yes.
Because they were telling me I should read from number 6, but if it was already discussed till 21, then we should read a little bit after that. Yes, so... But anyhow, since it is all about this verse, it is good to recite it again and again, and to remember that verse also. It's a good verse to memorize. And interesting also was mentioned here in these verses how Mahaprabhu was very humble, and he was telling Sanatana Goswami that I can't remember exactly what I mentioned to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, but I will try again to speak something, and in your association I may be able to say something more, maybe. Just when he met also Rai Ramananda in South India, he was also expressing in this way that you're a great Vaishnava, I heard, so you say something here also. And also something interesting is saying that I'm one madman and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is another. So the devotees are transcendental madmen. Of course, especially Mahaprabhu, so when he was performing his pastimes, he was chanting and dancing like a madman. And the pure devotees also sometimes they appear in this way. It is even mentioned in Bhagavatam, there's one verse in the 11th canto, that the devotees sometimes, of course usually we try to see also time, place, circumstances and not act too much like a madman. But sometimes the devotees, they cannot just control. It is also mentioned in the 11th canto. So sometimes a pure devotee, he will chant very loudly the Mahamantra and not caring for others. But of course here in the temple we have to sometimes be a little careful and we have to close the windows. And when we chant japa, we have to see that we not disturb others. Of course, if you have Krishna Prema and you speak to so very loudly, then usually others will not be disturbed. Usually. But we can see even sometimes there may be a pure devotee, but others cannot recognize and they become disturbed. Anyhow, so, but Mahaprabhu, wonderful pastimes are there, chanting and dancing in Jagannath Puri. But even in Navadvip, and sometimes devotees, they think that Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Puri or outside of Navadvip, they are most exalted. Mahaprabhu in Puri is most exalted. These are very high sentiments of Mahaprabhu, which he was showing, exhibiting, and the feelings of separation, just like Srimati Radharani when Krishna left Braj. But that Srimati Radharani, she is known as Viyogini Radha. She is an expanded manifestation of Srimati Brijbanu Nandini. And that is explained by the Acharyas. And crying in separation when Krishna goes to Mathura. So these are very deep and not so easy to understand by hearing again and again and by chanting nicely Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So these are important points to understand if we want to attain perfection. We should know the scriptures, and even it is mentioned, of course, especially those who are preaching, they should know Vedanta, at least the essence. They should be Vedanta-vid. They should know the scriptures of our Acharya. They should know Siddhanta. What is the Siddhanta of our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? They should be Rasa Tattva-vid. They should know the Rasa Shastra by our Acharyas, by which we can then understand Krishna's wonderful pastimes in Braj. So Mahaprabhu, when he's in Puri, he's practically mostly in separation, Viyogi, in Viyog, separation. But his pastimes in Navadvip, they are most exalted and perfect and complete. Just like we worship the deities in the temple, that is actually we worship Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundar Gaurahari in Navadvip, not in Jagannath Puri. And similarly Krishna, we worship Krishna in Braj. So, and actually just by the way, for the pujaris, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting and dancing, but he's hardly playing the kartals, so you don't have to put every day the kartals for the deities. And it is not mentioned anywhere that he's playing the mridanga like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm in a pujari, and by Krishna's mercy I have some knowledge, so I'm explaining to you these things. And we should do accordingly. So, I mean, sometimes you can put the kartals, but not every day. Sometimes you can put the peacock feather, but you don't have to put every day, because usually Mahaprabhu is not wearing a peacock feather. Neither in Navadvip in the spiritual world, neither in Navadvip in this world. What to speak as a sannyasi? Never wearing a peacock feather. But sometimes you can put, of course, Prabhupada in Mayapur, just to show that Mahaprabhu is not different than Krishna. He told the head pujari, Jananivas, that you put a small peacock feather for Mahaprabhu. So then, of course, if Prabhupada says, then he had to do. But otherwise he didn't say, and it's not that you have to put every day. And his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, in his temples, mostly deities of Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, he never put, and he never told these disciples to put a peacock feather for Mahaprabhu. So we have to try to be balanced, and of course different moods we may have, and sometimes you can put peacock feather, no problem. Sometimes you can put the kartals, I mean, maybe one time he picked up also a mridanga, no problem, but hardly. So according to that, we should do the seva. And so we should understand that we are there to serve. Although we are not qualified, but by Prabhupada's mercy, we are there to assist in the service of Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada is there and he's serving Gauranga Sundar, and we have a chance to assist and do something. We are now practicing when we are worshipping the deities, and by practicing we may become perfect. And that is known as Archan Siddhi. Prabhupada has explained, when you're perfect in deity worship, then we can go back home to Godhead. Directly, Prabhupada mentions, but that means directly you can enter the pastimes of Mahaprabhu or Krishna. From here we cannot directly go to Navadvip in the spiritual world or Golok, but we have to go to one of the universes where they perform their pastimes. And then when we are there with the associates of Mahaprabhu, we're just like madmen. We will also become madmen or madwomen. But now we have to, anyway we are trying to be controlled. And that is interesting, Of course, Mahaprabhu is Sarvagya, he knows everything, and it's not that he could not remember what he spoke, but just out of humility, speaking in this way. But it is also there that, of course, Mahaprabhu himself, so he explained very elaborately, and Sanskrit is, of course, most complete language, most beautiful and most wonderful language. Of course, other languages are there also which are beautiful. But the original language in regards to languages is Sanskrit. According to some, there are some others also. But so that's another subject matter. And of course, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we know that Mahaprabhu is speaking Bengali, which is also a very sweet language. Right? Very sweet language. And so on, Prabhupada, he appeared in Calcutta, so he was speaking Bengali. And he wanted the disciples also to learn, when they in India, to learn the languages Hindi, or if you can learn Bengali. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying that one day will come when the Western devotees and Indian devotees, they will come together and they will chant the holy names. And he was saying also that the Western devotees, they will learn Bengali and they read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he's explaining very elaborately this verse, and is actually explaining each word. So the first one is Atmaram, explaining about Atma, the different meanings of Atma. Anyone remember? So was here last week?
Soul, body, mind.
Soul, yes, body, mind. Absolute truth also. Atma can refer to us as spirit soul, the body, the mind. It can refer also to the Supreme Lord. Of course, sometimes the Supreme Lord is also addressed as Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, or the Super Soul in the heart. And also, it is explained natural characteristics of firmness, intelligence, endeavor. These are the meanings of Atma. And sometimes, so one word can have many meanings. And even sometimes for one object, vastu, like as Mia explained before also one time, that for example the sun, there are different names for the sun. Even traditionally in India, there are, at least they will have 12 names for the sun, like Surya, Bhaskar, Aditya, Ravi, Mitra, Mitra is also a name for the sun. Mitra means friend. So now, especially here in the West, usually the sun is our friend. When we see the sun, we are happy. We're looking, where are you, my friend? He's hiding behind the clouds. But when he comes, we are happy. Oh, it's a little warm. And especially in the winter when it's cold, then we are really looking forward for the sun and we are happy, my dear friend. Even in India, so in northern India, it gets a little cold in the winter in Vrindavan. But when the sun is there, we are so happy because there's not so much heating system is there. So then during the day, everyone is out, and when the sun is there, then you feel nice and he's our friend. In the summer, he's also our friend, but we stay inside the house when it is 50 degrees in the sun. Like this year, it was extremely hot. In the morning, we show respect to the sun, but then we stay inside. And we meet him again the next day for a few minutes. So sun also, so Mitra. But Mitra also, so Mitra means the sun, but it means friend also. And so he's explaining, so first Atmaram is explaining Atma. So Atma first, and then also Aram is there. So that means the persons actually the persons who are transcendently situated in the service of the Lord. And then he gives, even for Aram or the different words, he gives different meanings. But then not only that, according to the verse also then he's explaining. Because Atma, you can have one understanding, one meaning, according to one sentence or one verse, and if it is another verse, then you can have another meaning. So therefore the different meanings are given. So they are all together. Who remembers how many words are there? 18. Now 18 meanings were there. 18 meanings he gave of the verse, the Sarvabhaum. But there are 11. 11 words are there. But 18 meanings were there in regards to the verse. But here he's explaining 64 meanings by breaking down the word and explaining each word. And so very elaborate. And so Sanskrit scholars, they may relish that, but for simple persons, okay. But we just take the basic understanding and we try to also imbibe that verse and that we can remember, and then we may tell others also. So text 21 was spoken last time, or? Yes, it was explained, the 21st verse also. So then we read the 22nd also. Vibhu rupe vyape shakti dharana poshana madhurya shakti goloka aishwarya paravyoma. So after giving the basic meanings here, he is in text 22 is explaining that the Supreme Lord, because ultimately it is all about the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Krishna is in the center for the devotees. And of course Atmaram, Krishna is also known as Atmaram, and the pure devotees. Through his all-pervasive feature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has expanded the entire creation. He is holding and maintaining this creation by his extraordinary potency. By his conjugal potency, he maintains the planetary system known as Golok Vrindavan. Through his 6 opulences, he maintains many Vaikuntha planets. So purport, Srila Prabhupada. And his gigantic form, Lord Krishna, has covered the creation. He holds all the planetary systems and maintains them by his inconceivable potencies. Similarly, he is maintaining his personal abode, Golok Vrindavan, through his conjugal love, and is maintaining the spiritual world containing the Vaikuntha planets by his opulences. So here, Vibhu Rup, so his all-pervasive form is explained in this material world, like Virat Rup is there, which he showed to Arjuna before the battle at Kurukshetra, and even partially, even Duryodhana had seen this form, but still he didn't accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And also we know, of course, the three Purushavatars are there, Mahavishnu, also known as Karanaraksha Vishnu, then Garvadaksha Vishnu, and Kshuradaksha Vishnu, Paramatma. They are actually all-pervading this material world, and at the same time they are transcendently situated also, beyond this material world. So from Karanaraksha Vishnu, unlimited universes are emanating from his body. When he's exhaling, when he's inhaling, he's entering his body, he's exhaling again, they're coming out. And then Garvadaksha Vishnu entering in each universe. And then in each universe there's one Lord Brahma, there's one Lord Shiva, and different demigods are there in each universe. And and also it is mentioned that actually our universe is the smallest universe. Our love, so we should not be puffed up, we should always be humble. We are totally insignificant. As you explained about Bhumandal, just planet Earth is there, and we are just one part of Bharatvarsha in Jambudvip, which is middle planetary system, totally insignificant. And then, but we are in the smallest universe. Our Lord Brahma has only 4 heads, and we only have 1 head. And he has 4 heads, only 4 heads, but it's quite something to have 4 heads, right? Other Brahmas, they have 10 heads, 100 heads, 1,000 heads. And according to the heads, the universe is bigger. So we are in the smallest universe on this planet. And some people in this material world, in this planet here, which is totally insignificant, they think we are great. And nowhere else there are living beings. And there's so much an illusion. Even the scientists in this world, they think they're special, and they think no other living entities anywhere else, except some aliens maybe are there. But they're completely bewildered, no understanding. But by Prabhupada's mercy, by the mercy of the Acharyas, we have so much information about the spiritual world, the material world, and different planetary systems. And here, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is indicating the Supreme Lord, and ultimately Krishna, who is the source of everything. So he's the source of the spiritual worlds and the material worlds. But the material world, so is governed by these 3 Purushavatars, Karanaraksha Vishnu, Garvadaksha Vishnu, and then Kshiradaksha Vishnu is the super soul in everyone's heart. It's in our hearts of all the human beings, it's in the hearts of all the animals, even the small insects, is all-pervading. So the meaning of Vishnu is actually all-pervading. And then, but then different personalities are there of Godhead, who are appearing for the benefit of the conditioned souls, to give them transcendental knowledge. But then they specifically mentioned here about Golok, which is the biggest planet in the spiritual realm. And even all the other planets together, they don't equal to Golok. And then specifically it is mentioned that Madhurya Shakti, Madhurya means the conjugal love, He's maintaining his personal abode, Golok, Vrindavan, through his conjugal love. And then, by the way, he's maintaining the Vaikuntha planets by his opulences. So Aishwarya Paravyom, therefore, is known as Bhagavan. He's possessing all opulences. But specifically, so Golok is mentioned because it is the highest planet, and so where Radha Krishna are performing their wonderful pastimes. Also, it has been mentioned that two kinds of relationship, so Swakya and Parakya. Swakya is just like husband and wife, and Parakya is just like lover and beloved. And that is actually the highest relationship in Golok. Krishna is in Kishoravasta, like 15 years old, and Radharani a little younger, Kishori. So they still live at home, and they were never married, and they're not going to get married, but they belong to each other. And they perform wonderful pastimes, and that is most relishable for Krishna. And Srimati Radharani is most also relishing the beauty of Krishna because of her most wonderful love. And in their loving exchange, that will increase each other's beauty and each other's love. And everything is actually in Golok also. It is mentioned by the Acharyas, like Rupa Goswami, that the associates are there of Krishna, the parents and the friends and the animals and everything. That is all the setting, and it is all actually to complete or to assist in the loving exchange between Radha and Krishna. And even in the first verse, Janmadi of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami has explained in his Sandarbhas that the word Adi, so the creation is there of this world, and then Adi, it may mean the maintenance and the dissolution, the winding up of this universe. So Lord Brahma is there, the secondary creator of Vishnu, maintaining, and Shiva is destroying. But this word Adi refers to Adi Ras also, to the conjugal mellow. The original mellow is called as Adi Ras. That is the loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. And of course Param Satya, that refers to Krishna and Braj. All in the beginning, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva is mentioned. But that, of course, even the names Vishnu, Vasudev can be also attributed to Krishna, because Krishna is the source of everything, and Krishna is all pervading. Even therefore we say Vrindaya Tusidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti. So Vishnu Bhakti, that means Krishna Bhakti. Some devotees say they say Krishna Bhakti. We can also say, or you can say Vishnu Bhakti. But Vishnu here refers to Krishna ultimately. We want Krishna Bhakti, not Vishnu Bhakti. But by addressing Krishna as Vishnu, then that is fine too. Even the famous verse at the end of the Rasa Lila, known as Rasa Panchadhyay, Vikrididam Brajavarividam Cha Vishnu, explaining about the pastimes of Krishna and Braj, especially the loving exchange between Krishna and the gopis and the Rasa Lila. So there the name Vishnu is mentioned, but again it refers to Krishna. So Krishna in Braj, or he's performing his pastimes. And so Braj is another name, of course. The innermost part of Golok is known as Braj, where Radha Krishna performed their wonderful pastimes with the gopis. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is no different from Radha and Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahayanya. So he has come to establish the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, and he came specifically to give Braj Bhakti, and specifically, as mentioned at the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Unad Ujjvala Ras, to give Unad Ujjvala Ras. Ujjvala Ras means the bright, shining relationship So that is a conjugal relationship. Unat, it is the highest of all the relationships. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this ultimately. But so that is actually external. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita to give this devotional service and even Braj Bhakti. But the internal reason is he wants to taste the love of Srimati Radharani, and by her love she can experience Krishna's wonderful qualities, especially Krishna playing the flute, Krishna's beauty, Krishna's exchange, especially with the gopis and his wonderful pastimes. And when she's experiencing, then she's feeling so much pleasure. That is the internal reason. But even we should understand that it is mentioned he appears to relish this internal mood of Srimati Radharani, but actually he came to show that to all the conditioned souls and those who have the qualification to understand. Because Mahaprabhu or Gauranga Sundar Gaurahari is eternally manifest in Shvetadip Navadip in the spiritual world, is always relishing this love of Srimati Radharani in his form of Gaurahari. But he came here to ultimately to show and to attract the devotees towards himself and towards Radha and Krishna. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most munificent, most magnanimous, most merciful. Padita Pavana Hetu Tavavatar. So he has come to deliver the most fallen. In the age of Kali, everyone is fallen. And the process is not difficult. You just have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Also, there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names. Like for chanting Gayatri, usually, well, according to the Brahmanas, in India, you must be clean when you chant the Gayatri. And you must have clean cloth. And so you do 3 times a day, usually. Originally, the Brahmanas, they were taking 3 times bath a day. And then they used to chant Achman for purification. And then usually even they were doing pranayam, and then they were chanting the Gayatri. Even therefore, Sanatana Goswami in the same book, Hari Bhakti Vilas, is explaining that also, that before chanting the Gayatri we may do pranayam, so that the mind is a little bit fixed, because the mind is very flickering. And I'm sure you all have the experience while chanting Hare Krishna. If you're not falling asleep, the mind will go here and there. So, but we have to try to focus, so the Gayatri will help one to focus also. But even there, the mind is going here and there. We may be chanting and then after realizing, well, I hardly remember that I chanted, what did I do now? So therefore, he's recommending to do pranayam also. But of course, we have to see time, place and circumstances. Sometimes we have seen also our Iskon devotees, then they come and have an Achman cup, which is okay, and then they're there doing Achman, then doing pranayam, and then chanting Gayatri. You can do also, but sometimes time, place, circumstances, we are busy, and then we can just chant the Gayatri without Achman. But it's good to focus also before chanting, and yeah. There's one wonderful mantra which you can chant, which is known amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It's one of my favorite mantras. I chant every day a few times. When I get up in the morning, I chant. Before I take rest, I chant. And in between also for focusing, I chant. Like sometimes we are asked to speak somewhere for a few minutes. Okay, here you say something for 5 minutes if we are an assembly of devotees. Then, we don't have time to chant the full Mangalacharan Vandeham, because that will take 1.5 minutes. So we can chant that mantra, it will take 15 seconds. I will tell that mantra if you like to hear that mantra. Maybe you know the mantra, if not, you can learn that mantra. So you can fold your hands and repeat after me. Gurave, Gaurachandraya, Radhikayai, Tadalaye, Krishnaya, Krishna Bhaktaya, Tad Bhaktaya, Namo Namaha, Gurave Gaurachandraya, Radhikaya Tadalaye, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya, Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha, Gurave Gaurachandraya, Radhikaya Tadalaye, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya, Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. So you can remember the verse now? Previously, the speaker was there and then the listener were there, Shruti Dhar. And they were listening one time and they could remember. But, now hardly anyone is like that in the age of Kali. But previously, it was not even written down, the scriptures. They were just hearing and remembering. But now, so if we recite 3 times, there's a chance that one can remember. You can remember? Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya. Very good, Sadhu. Okay, almost perfect. Yeah, just third line was almost, yeah. So Namo Namaha, we offer obeisances. Gurave, that is in dative, unto the spiritual master. Gurave Gaurachandraya, unto Gaurachandra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radhikayai, so for male it is ya and female is yai in dative, unto Srimati Radharani. Tadalaye, Tad refers to Srimati Radharani, Alaya means her abode, mostly Varshana, sometimes she's in Javat or in Radhakund, and of course then the Gopis are included also. Krishnaya unto Krishna, Krishna Bhaktaya unto Krishna's devotees, Tad Bhaktaya, it may be unto the devotees of the devotees, we are Das, Das Anudas, or it may be also all the Vaishnavas. Even we should offer respect to the devotees of Ram, Vishnu and so on. So it is a good verse to learn and yeah, so we can remember that verse, and that would be helpful to be focused. So, because we have to take shelter of Guru first, then Gauranga, and then we can attain Radha Krishna. And so before Gayatri, that may also be chanted, or before you chant your japa. At home, if you do simple worship, you don't chant so many mantras maybe, then you can recite that mantra also. So that is helpful. Is known mantra amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But who is the author? It is not known. There's one book by Rupa Goswami known as Padyavali. There may be 300 verses. And very wonderful verses are there. Also some of them are well known amongst, even in our society, but other verses are there also. And after 200 verses is writing who is the author of that verse, and maybe 100 verses is writing author is unknown, but because the verse is nice, he put it in his book, and the Vaishnavas, they appreciate these verses. So this one is not in that book, but is also such a verse which is well known amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and it is a very helpful verse. At least it's one of my favorite verses. So, and so we may learn that. Hare Krishna, we stop here. Any question? Yes, okay.
I have 2 questions.
2 questions, okay.
One is about when we hear so much about rasa and also the sweet nature of the holy name. There's so much sweetness. Also in the daily practice, the vidhi, also there is sweetness.
Mm.
But sometimes we don't, or most of the times we don't relish the sweetness.
Mm.
It becomes, we do the task or we practice thinking the sweetness will come, but we're not
Yes.
experiencing the sweetness
Mm.
at all. So what is this disease?
What is this disease? Well, it is due to material consciousness. That one is still under modes of material nature, one still has anarthas, unwanted things in the heart. And so that stage we have to overcome. Anatta nivritti. So different stages of devotional service from shraddha to prem. Shraddha means faith. So we may have faith in God, like in India almost everyone believes in God, Krishna or Ram and so. But then they are not doing much devotional service. Even here there may be some Christians, but not doing much. And even those who maybe in the church or whatever, but they don't do much actually. And they don't know actually exactly how to serve Krishna. Because just some basic instructions are there. They don't know about Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and how to properly serve. So that we have to learn, and by the mercy of Prabhupada, of course, so we have this knowledge, and so Shraddha is there, and it is the association of the spiritual master. Then the faith becomes Paramarthik Shraddha. First is Lokik Shraddha, it is mundane faith, and then is a spiritual faith in the association of the saintly persons. And then we can advance in Sadhu Sangha. So Shraddha is there, and then Sadhu Sangha, and then Bhajana Kriya. And then you can do bhajan, you can engage in devotional activities, sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. But this bhakti or this bhajan or devotional service is anishtite. It is not fixed. Nishtha is not there, one is not completely fixed. But one is doing, and there's definitely benefit. But there are many anarthas, unwanted things, which is divided in 4 anarthas. And even each of these 4 categories, they have 4 divisions also. First is asat trishna, being still attracted to things of this world. Asat, trishna means thirst. Asat, which is not permanent. Sat means permanent. Sanatan, Satchidananda Sarup, eternal form of the Lord. Of our we also have Satchidananda Sarup, eternal form. But in the beginning one is still, even though one has some knowledge, but still the Hatma Buddhi is there. The Hatma Buddhi, the intelligence of this world, of this body, identifying with this body. And so therefore, and because we are still on this platform, therefore we cannot taste. So because one is still attracted to things of this world, which is not permanent, asat trishna. And so that, and then after, even one knows that we should control our senses, and we should do some austerity. Sometimes, like on the Ekadashi, we should eat less, we should chant more. Doing Chaturmas, we should do some austerity. Prabhupada gave the minimum. Of course, here, many times you see that the spinach is growing very nicely in the first month of Chaturmas. And it's all there in the garden, and the devotees what to do, and we are supposed to follow. So many they don't follow because there's so much spinach there, and what to do? We offer to Krishna and then we eat, right? Yeah. But then the second is no yogurt, and so Prabhupada gave some minimum, and then no milk, no radal. So, but I mean, Hari Bhakti Vilas, which was Mahaprabhu's instruction to Sanatan, there are more things mentioned not supposed to take tomatoes, not supposed to take carrots, eggplant, parval, how you say parval? Potal sabji, loki. So it is mentioned there, of course, so maybe a little difficult, but so some austerity if you can do sometimes, maybe we eat some less sweets. Instead of breakfast, lunch or dinner sweet, you just take maybe once a day doing Chaturmas. Or some are not taking any sweets, and some are only taking one-time grain. So like this, a little some austerity that might be helpful. And then so that we can advance so in our spiritual life. So Prabhupada, so he was merciful and he gave some basic instructions by which we can then advance. And because the thing is, if you do every day the activities which you're supposed to do, that is fine, but then sometimes then it becomes like a routine, and we do out of routine, and familiarity breeds contempt even in deity worship, so we have to be careful. And then we eat every day prasadam, and then sometimes it can become sense gratification also, and Mahaprabhu has told also, if one is eating Mahaprasad every day, but is not hearing about Krishna, then he will fall from the spiritual platform. So eat prasadam, that's okay, but we have to control, and don't forget to hear about Krishna. And you control the eating and the sleeping, and therefore certain days like Ekadashi, so we eat less, or Janmashtami we fast, and we chant more, we serve more, we hear more about Krishna, and then we can become attracted to Krishna. And then so different things are there, and by doing that a process, and then we can become, then we can overcome. So sometimes we try to do some austerity, but we cannot do. And there's one nice devotee in Vrindavan. She's female devotee, but she's sincere and she wants to be always very austere. And I follow Vainda Prabhu, who was very austere, doing Chaturmas, sometimes only eating khichdi for 4 months. And then one time he was doing Chandrayan Vrat. You know Chandrayan Vrat? Chandrayan, you know? Yes. You make some khichdi. On the full moon day you can have a full plate. But it has to be on the floor, on the ground. Not on the plate, on the ground. And you, of course, you clean the ground first, you put it on the ground, and then you have to put your hands behind your back. And you go down and you eat. And then, if somebody is saying, hey Prabhuji, if you come up, that's it. You cannot eat more. If you just have 2-3 bites you took, but somebody is calling you, you come up, you cannot eat more. He was doing that vrat. And then you have to decrease the amount to half every day. And then Amavasya you only have the half of the amount. And after Amavasya till full moon, you can again increase a little bit every day. He was doing that. And he was losing weight like anything because he's hardly eating anything. But he was doing it, that is incredible. I was trying, but I couldn't. It's, so he has a healthy body, my body is not so healthy. Of course, no excuse, but it's like, very rare. But, but you can do something more simple. But sometimes even, so this lady, this girl, she wanted to follow also, but not as hard, but she was not taking grains for 4 months. And also, no milk products, which is a little difficult. And she likes cheese and milk. So it didn't take, and after 3 weeks, she came to me crying. Prabhuji, that was after Indra Prabhu had left already. Otherwise she was crying to him always. And so she came to me, and I said, what happened? I'm doing Chaturmas Vrat, I'm not taking any milk products. I said, okay. but now but I like paneer. He said, okay. So, and I'm chanting Hare Krishna, and I'm thinking about paneer. I'm dreaming about paneer. I said, okay, you better take paneer and you chant Hare Krishna. So, so Hridaya Dorbalya, even you want to be just normal and do a little austerity, but sometimes, okay, no sweets for 4 months. But then the Sunday feast is there, okay, I'm not taking sweets, and then the cake is there, or there's eating cake, or it's too difficult, and you take the cake. Weakness of heart, because you don't have the higher taste. If you have Nam Ruchi, no problem, the cake, but if you don't have taste for the holy names, it's difficult. So and then also Swarup Brahma, not properly knowing about the identity of Krishna and the process of devotional service. Like, for example, Krishna, just yesterday one devotee called me because somebody took my interview and I gave some explanation about Krishna in Braj and Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Mathura. So I explained that Krishna appeared at the same time in Braj and in Mathura, as the son of Maria Yashoda and the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, at the same time. But like in India, the majority of the people, even devotees of Krishna, they don't know. They say Krishna appeared in Mathura. And they don't even, and this is I don't want to mention his name, but so, it's from Switzerland also. And so he said, well, but it is mentioned in Prabhupada's books, we didn't hear that. And so devotees, because it was on YouTube, and that devotee's wife has 200,000 followers. And they're questioning, well, where is it from? So they mentioned it is there in the scriptures, and we should know if we want to do to Golok. We should know exactly. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvataha. That is from Bhagavad Gita. 4th chapter, text number 9, I believe. 9, yeah. So one who knows veti tatvataha. Veti means to know tatvata in truth. Janma karma chame divyam. The transcendental appearance and the activities of myself, so they can go to the spiritual world and they will not come back. Naiti Mati, so Arjuna. So we have to know exactly about Krishna and Braj, Krishna and Mathura. And so that is Siddhanta, we should know, and then we can advance. So, but the devotee said that most devotees, they don't know that. I said, well, what to do? But it is a fact, and so we are speaking the truth. And you may accept or not accept, but it is mentioned. Prabhupada hinted at it, and it is clearly explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary on the 10th canto, clearly mentioned. In the Krishna book, Prabhupada also gave a summary of, it is the summary of the 10th canto. And because Prabhupada, he appeared in India and he knows all the Indians, that the majority they don't know. And he's even writing in the Krishna book about Nanda Baba and Yashoda, they are the foster parents of Krishna. That means they were bringing up Krishna. So it appears to be that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, and Yashoda and Nanda Baba, they are just taking care. They were just taking care. So, but we should know actually the Siddhanta of Sampradaya, and then we can enter Braj Bhakti and the spontaneous platform. And then the 4th is aparad, offense, 4 kinds of offense. Nama parad, seva parad, dhamma parad, and the jiva parad. Like for example, even like sometimes even in Vrindavan, they beat the cows like anything to just chase them away. But we should be a little gentle towards other animals also. Of course, as devotees, usually we are careful, and we should not unnecessarily, kill an ant or the flies. But of course, we cannot be also fanatic and, If there's so many ants, sometimes it's difficult. We can like